Welcome to Tuesdays with Marv, the Medford Arts Resource Vehicle. I'm Sarah Beardsley, co-president of Mackey. Marv is an arts center on wheels, bringing supplies and inspiration to local neighborhoods. In this time of physical distancing, Marv is staying home too, but we want to continue to bring arts programming to Medford and beyond with a series of creative events featuring local artists and their work. We want to thank our funders, including the Medford Arts Council, Arts Alive Medford, the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and members of the Medford Arts Center, Inc. If you are an artist who would like to share your work as part of this series, please email us so we can send you our application form. Thank you for coming and enjoy your time with Marv.
Hi, so I'm Rachel. I'm a painter. I work primarily in acrylics, but I also do oil pastels and other stuff. And I tend to paint animals, animals with food, or people with food, or animals with other stuff. And it's lots of fun. I like to be creative. I like happy art. I think everyone needs some happy in their lives, especially now.
Yeah.
And so it tends to be brightly colored and very saturated and very silly and fun. I like people to make their own associations. So I have a gluten allergy. I tend to paint a lot of food I can't eat, and it's because it's pretty and I want to eat it and it's luscious, and so it makes it a lot of fun to paint. And I really like people's associations to food, whether they are dieting and they can't eat it so they want it, or maybe they love their carbs and they're like all for it. Like everyone has these situations. I used to paint giant cheeseburgers in college, and I knew people who were relatively upset with me, especially roommates who were trying to stay on a diet, and they're like, I can't look at your cheeseburger anymore. They were just over it. And so I like having that tempting factor there, but depending on whether you're pro food or anti-food or whatever, it may or may not be a good thing for you. And then I tend to have people or animals or some other interaction there. And the question is, are these animal instincts, or these personalities, what are they? Whether or not they're happy or sad. I think a really good example of that is my bear. You probably have seen my bear on the application to join the event. And people are like, why pancakes? Why the bear? Is the bear happy? Is the bear angry? What is it? And that's kind of the point. The point is to let people take their own interpretations. People do their own things. And so whether or not the bear is happy is really up to you. Like, I love pancakes. I can't eat them. So I don't know whether or not I'd be devastated to find them above my head. I also like the association of honey and syrup. So I like to bring things through associations I make. So like dripping honey looks a lot like maple syrup. So I made that fun association here. For people who are in Boston, I made this and this guy during COVID quarantine. I was having a show at JP Licks at the time. And you probably, if you're in Boston or Mass, you might know what JP Licks is. It is this amazing ice cream place that does a lot of cow paraphernalia and things, because that's how they advertise. So I really liked the idea of the cow taking part in the serving, which is why guy has a little cherry. And if you look closely on this guy, there's sprinkles on his horns, and there's earring is a spoon. I really love the colors I use, but for people who aren't into super happy colors, I'm also working on wood to make things a little more neutral. Right now, I'm trying to start a cheeseburger series because A, cheeseburgers are delicious. Gotta love yourself a cheeseburger. And B, cheeseburgers are like the classic Americana food. But birds and animals are regional. So I'm trying to think of American animals and things like that. And I'm doing mostly birds. And you can tell which region it is in because of the birds, not because of the food, because cheeseburgers are all American. And I'll probably do this with other food too. But right now, I'm just starting with cheeseburgers. Also, most of my animals have been in a portrait style, but I'm starting to branch out. And I dropping things, have like this guy where it's body parts of the animal interacting with things. And this isn't a finished piece, but this is a started. Well, I'm having a multitude of seahorses. This is like a almost finished one with these lemons here. So I think it's gonna be really exciting. I'm gonna start some new things interacting, some things that are not so portrait based. And yeah, that's kind of basic spiel of what's going on. I can't hear you.
Okay, so if that was me, do you have more things in your studio that you want to show us, or should we ask you questions about specific pieces?
You can ask me questions about specific pieces, or I can go take a tour. But like right now, we could do some questions. I could grab things. I'm really excited about the wood I'm gonna start working on. I have a big pile of wood over here. My parents found some driftwood, which I'm gonna put some sealant on, and I'm gonna paint some things on that, which should be pretty exciting.
Yep. So I'm curious about the Seahorses and Lemons. That seems like an unusual combination.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about why Seahorses and Lemons, and how you pair things? Why did you decide birds on cheeseburgers? So all those kinds of questions.
All those kinds of questions. Okay. So the deal with Seahorses and Lemons is I got a new color from the store. It was a nice like bright pink that I hadn't used before. So I was trying to think of something fun I could, and I was thinking, okay, pink lemonade. Pink lemonade is really cool. And I was trying to think what would interact with that. Back in college, I was a little more into a darker phase. So I did all these figures that are a little creepy looking, drifting through some pink lemonade. So I was like, I want something more happy. I want something more fun. And I was trying to think of, for some reason, seahorses popped into my head. And I was like, that's really cool because they're that nice shape and they're right around that same size. And they kind of blend in with their environment. So they'll be blending in with the pink lemonade. They're going to be reflecting the colors of yellow in their bodies. So I thought it'd be really dimensional and a really cool thing. With other, like I said, there's no wrong or right pairing to do things. It's more things that I find associations with. Like my classic behind me, I've done like 5 of them. They're yaks with cupcakes on their heads. And I don't actually remember where the idea started, but now it's this trend I have, and it's a theme, it is a thesis. I'm sticking with it. And stuff. So some things are just a matter of tradition. Not like I have a solid reasoning behind my pancakes with bears, and I've done probably like 5 pancakes with bears now. So I like to stick to my archetypes. There's no right or wrong reason or right or wrong interpretation. It's more about the fun you can have, your personal associations to these things. Like this one is called Call Your Mother, and it's an octopus with the things, and it could be construed as it's a good thing to call your mom. It could be construed as it's a bad thing to call your mom. It's a lot of arms interacting with it, so it could be rushing to call your mother, or it could be like, do you really want to get involved with the octopus to call your mother? But it's called Call Your Mother, and I like it. I think it's really funny.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's it's more playful. I think everything should be happy. Not that like life is necessarily super happy, but I think everyone needs some happy. We all need some joy. We all need excuses to smile. Here is some of that driftwood. Here is what's starting as my cheeseburger wall. I've gotten like 6 cheeseburgers done, and I have a lot of them in a pile over there. We're transferring over. A lot of my stuff is off the walls to show you. This is one of my painting studios right over here. And in this wonderful treasure chest is all my painting supplies. So it's full up. I actually have another treasure chest full of painting supplies. I do have some very tiny pieces. I really believe everyone should get art. Everyone should have some art in their lives. So I want to have a variety of price points. I want to have a variety of sizes. So if anyone wants art, they can get art. And I've only done a few, but I'm starting to do giveaways on Instagram every once in a while. So if you do follow me on Instagram and you keep an eye open, every once in a while I'll be like, hey, giveaway, like this or something, and I will give you a prize. Nice. So, yeah. Because everyone, there should be no excuses not to have a little bit of art in your life.
It's very true. So tell me your Instagram handle and I'll type it in here.
So it's at Rachel Schwemin Art. And Schwemin is spelled SCHWEMIN. So it's my name, Rachel Schwemin, and then Art.
Yep. Okay. Are you on Facebook as well, or just is Instagram your primary?
Instagram is my primary. Sometimes I tag my Facebook in my Instagram, and I double post. But Instagram is my primary. I just saw a message from, and I don't know where it went. There was a question about color.
It's from Emmy. And Emmy wants to know how you choose your colors. For the bear, for instance, instead of having it be a traditional brown, it was multicolored. How come?
It's because I do every once in a while do realistic colors, but I really want the color palette to be delectable and like happy, and like I think color is almost tasty, has its own like ferocity to it. So I like certain colors make you happy, and certain colors you can taste because they're so luscious. And so some cases I use the realistic colors and I give them a drizzling of little tasty colors, and sometimes I like to saturate them so it's like an overwhelming amount of flavor. Yaks, they're really big animals and they're very intimidating in some ways, and then there was just like this little pop of delicious happiness on top. So it's not like they're scary. Like that's kind of when I was on that train of thinking, it was like around the same time I came up with the bears, because bears are intimidating, and then it's just like this pop of deliciousness on their heads. And I just also like the association of food being on your mind. So it's like something you're thinking about, something that's on your mind. It seems very visible, it seems very real. And I like that association. So that's why I did the food on the heads. And I still often put them on the heads of animals, but now I'm trying to change it up a little bit. I'm trying to get more interaction happening.
Cool. So where did you learn how to paint so beautifully?
I've always doodled. I was always a doodler, but I really pursued painting in college. I went to Florida Southern College in Florida. I grew up in Rhode Island, so that was a big trip, big travel for me. And then I did post-bac. In undergrad, my favorite professor was William Otremsky. He was very awesome. He's the one who taught me about lusciousness and color and how it's real. And then I went to post-bac at the School Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And then I lived in Boston for about like 5-6 years. And then because of COVID, I've had some complications. So now I'm back in Florida.
So you're going to do driftwood. What are you going to do on your driftwood?
I'm
kinds
gonna
of
do
things?
a lot of nautical stuff. I have one set aside already for goldfish. Then one is gonna be crabs. And then the last, I'm like, I should get some food in here. I just don't know what yet. So maybe I'll do like some saltwater taffy or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, beach food, for sure. Yeah,
Beach food.
yeah. Well, cheeseburgers fit right in there, but
Cheeseburgers fit into anything. Like cheeseburgers are just that great food. It just, I love myself some cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers were the first thing I painted, like food wise.
wow.
I've been doing them since college. I am a classic cheeseburger person. My favorite right now does not have birds on it right now. This is my favorite. I just think that tomato is really luscious and hot.
Can you,
I
you
use
hold it still for a second so we can all take a look? And you did that with acrylic, right?
I did this with acrylic. On the other one, I added some oil pastel on. Oil pastel on wood is really nice because you don't get the grain of the canvas.
Right.
So it just adds a little texture and it adds a little more color. So oil pastel on these is also really good. But after I did like the base of this, I was like, this is perfect. It doesn't need more. So I really like this one. This is my favorite cheeseburger of my recent. I'm gonna fill a wall, I've decided. And then then I'm gonna, yeah, I do some shows. I do craft shows and things like that. Right now, craft shows aren't a big deal because of COVID. But by the time, like everything in my apartment now, which is a good, decent bit, is from COVID paintings. I have a whole storage unit of stuff back in Boston.
Wow.
So I'm ready for show season to come back. Usually use references from the internet, but sometimes I also get magazines, and magazines tend to have really good food pictures. They're really delectable. And so I'll use magazines, especially for like that glisten on the meat. It's really, really good. But then I'll switch things up. I'll switch the positioning of the things. I'll maybe add in an egg or some bacon. So you gotta make it different. But yeah, I use a lot of references. And I tend to mispair things. Like I have, give me one second, I'm gonna grab it. So this painting is about 7 reference images put together. So I mean, I have 2 for this. I have 3 for this. Got like 1 small one for the cheeseburger, and then it's just color references. I use those little color swatches you can get at Home Depot and things.
Yep.
Sometimes I just work with whatever colors I find when I go shopping for acrylics. But I also do little color swatches from Home Depot. I have enough of them now that I'm going to start painting on them as little giveaways. So people can have just like a little cheeseburger on a Home Depot swatch.
That's a really clever idea. Emmy has another question.
Emmy, what's your question?
Yeah, you did a jackalope series a little while back that I really like. Do you think you'll venture back into mythological creatures? And what is a jackalope?
A jackalope is a bunny with horns on it, and they have a lot of meanings. They can be a sign of doom, they can be a sign of luck, they can be a sign of anything, but I feel like they tend to have darker meanings typically, and I like them especially. I am going to keep doing jackalopes, not only because they're like, I like having the myth there, and they're an animal you don't often see because you see like unicorns and mermaids and all that a lot, but you don't see jackalopes a lot. So I was really happy about the jackalopes. I am going to keep doing jackalopes. People really love the jackalopes. People love the jackalopes and the cows the most. So yeah, I will, and I like making those fun colors, especially because the mythology behind them is a little darker. So I like having that contradiction right there.
Great. Huh. So it seems like a lot of what you try to do is take animals and themes that are sort of dark or sad or have kind of negative connotations to a lot of people and make them more friendly.
Yes, yes, that is definitely a good version of what I'm doing. Like, I like that my art can be both surface layer, or you can find meaning in it. So you could just enjoy the imagery, you can just enjoy the food, or you can just enjoy the animals. But like, if you look for it, you can definitely get some different interpretations and happening. And a lot of them are rooted into darker things like fear or neglect or whatever. But like, I think there should be happy outlooks, there should be happy interpretations. So I strive for that.
Yes, this is Pat Hansen. And when Rachel was showing around the apartment, there were miniatures on the wall that I couldn't see because we moved so quickly and the camera was far away. I'm wondering whether I could see those again.
Yeah, there's a lot of miniatures. I have that whole box of miniatures, but my particular favorites, let me go. So there's these two tiny goldfish here.
Oh, how big
Yeah.
are they? Like 4 by 4?
No, not even. They're like maybe 2 by 2. And then this here is 4 by 4, and this is 3 by 3. So I can get really small. I also can go really big. I used to paint 3 feet by 4 feet and 4 feet by 5 feet, and it drove a lot of my roommates and my family a little mad because then we'd have to find places for these things until I sold them or they went into shows. But yeah, I can paint pretty small. Oh, I just got a text from my friend who's watching, and she didn't put it in the chat box. I don't think she knows how to do the chat box, but there is a giant train that lives in her apartment, and so it's a 3 foot by 4 foot painting, and it's a train, and there's strawberries raining down on it. And so she's very proud of the painting. Her name is Haley. See, she's somewhere on the chat. And she wanted me to give a shout out to her train. So
Great.
yeah.
Thank you. I don't see Haley on here, but there's one phone number that doesn't have a name attached.
It must be Haley.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was telling me she was struggling to get in.
Mm.
Yeah. Hi.
Right. So thank you, Rachel. This was great. This was so much fun to see all this just fun, lighthearted, beautiful colored art that you just don't see that much of this. You know, there's it's sort of like with TV, people go through phases too, and right now everything's really sort of, you know, dark and has like, you know, subplots of people trying to take over the world or whatever. And I think with art, sometimes there's a tendency people go in the same direction all at once, and it's lovely to see something that where you're going in a totally opposite direction from that, and just trying to make people happy, which is lovely.
Yeah, thanks.
Basically. So I want to thank you very much for your time and for doing this. And again, if anybody is interested in visiting Rachel at her her Instagram page, it's Rachel Schwemin Arts, and Schwemin is SCHWEMIN. And I will also send that to people in the follow-up just in case. So you'll have it for sure. And one last thing I wanted to say is that the Medford Arts Center does a newsletter every couple of weeks. And so I'm going to send everyone who was on the call an invitation to sign up for the newsletter if you would like to. And so for those of you who are in the area, that will tell you what's going on around here. And it's free, and you can, unsubscribe anytime that you want to, but it's not an automatic subscription. So you do have to reply to the invitation in order to get on the list. So thank you all for joining. This was lovely. Rachel, I really appreciate it. If you're ever in the Medford area, look us up, and maybe we can do something with some of your Boston art. Here, we'll pull some stuff out of storage, and we can find some way to get it out there in the world.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful.
All right. So thank you very much. Stay cool. Stay well. Everybody stay well. And that's it for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.